Our next delegate, number 10, is also online, and that's Joella Connaught. So, Joella, if you're there, you can press *6 to unmute.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Joella Connaught, and thank you guys for hearing me out today. I am a Black parent of 2 Black boys who are in grade 5 and 6, and they attend Scarborough Village Public School. I'm a member of Scarborough Village's school council as well, and I'm also speaking in association with the Toronto School Council Coalition. The statement I'm sharing with you guys today, I must admit, is quite personal and a bit painful and private for me and my sons. But given the gravity of our lived experiences so far in trying to navigate the school system and, hearing of continued budget cuts that might come our way, I felt it necessary to share my story and my son's story with you all today, some of our story. So as a mom in the TDSB, I have had to coach my 11 and 12-year-old sons how to de-escalate racist encounters with students, parents, and teachers. As a mom in the TDSB, I am often terrified to leave my sons at school, and sometimes even more terrified at the end of the day when it comes for pickup, because I'm just not sure what experience they'll have to share with me that's not too pleasant, or if it's not directly towards them, something that they have witnessed. As a mom in the TDSB, I've had to hear my children utter words of self-hatred because they've learned that through the actions of others that the features such as the color of their skin and the texture of their hair don't seem to award them the same level of human dignity and decency that they see their peers of different social locations receive. As a mom in the TDSB, I have to manage my children's trauma as well as my own, from continued experiences of antisocial behavior, while still being expected to be the person to come up with the resources to navigate such glaring social issues within our school. As a mom in the TDSB, I have been questioned about mine and my children's role in the trauma that's been inflicted upon us, as if perhaps sometimes it was something that we did or somehow we looked for it. As a mom in the TDSB, I've experienced my 11-year-old child telling me that they wanted to end their life just so they no longer have to deal with the hostile environment that is their school. As a mom in the TDSB, I've had my child say to me that I know it's not right that I get treated differently and badly because of the color of my skin. I know it's not right, Mommy. I know it's not right on any day, and especially not on my birthday. While I fully support fellow parents and caregivers in fighting for changes to things like class sizes, coding, and swimming pool programs, I'm here to fight for my son's humanity and human rights to be recognized and respected. I'm fighting for the voices of all Black students, and really all students from racialized and marginalized backgrounds. I'm fighting for our pleas of safety, respect, and protection of our children's mental health and well-being. I am in a constant battle with myself to the degree on which I lend my mental and physical labor to develop a program for a school environment that has not been too kind to my own, in an attempt to apply some level of remedy to a volatile situation, despite knowing it is the very environment that has done so much to harm and damage my children's development and growth so far. I have been stuck in a position of needing assistance to support my children, but also having to be the one to provide much needed resources to the school to address major social issues, rather than giving my 100% to the love and support that my children require of me as their mother. I am stuck in this position of a rock and a hard place because there does not appear to be enough or sometimes any resources to support students navigating social issues such as bullying, anti-Black racism, and mental health. Despite this, I know there are students in other schools suffering with the same circumstances without the luxury of having a parent who happens to have some ability to create some much needed social and mental health initiatives for their school. As you have heard from delegates in prior weeks, more than 15 school councils have come together to form the Toronto School Council Coalition. Virulent anti-Black racism and paltry mental health resources are not unique to my son's school. Your past cuts have made school more unsafe for kids and for my kids as well as thousands of other kids. Untreated trauma that they experience at school creates more problems down the road. In an increasingly hostile post-pandemic world, funds for teachers, educational assistants, and mental health practitioners should be going up and not down. So when I hear about possible budget cuts constantly over the year, I'm left wondering what new or expanded role I'm going to have to take on to make sure that my son survived the day. I thank you guys for listening to a brief snippet of my story and my son's story, and I hope that it moves you to, take into consideration that, vital funds could be helpful to a lot of resources for mental health and supporting children on identity and things of that nature to make the school environment a more welcoming place for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a question for you from Trustee Laskin.
Thank you very much, Joella, for sharing with us such a personal story and for your efforts. I'm wondering, we don't have an opportunity to question staff during these sessions or follow up with staff, but it seems to me some issues you've raised are very important to discuss with staff. So I'm asking you if you could please email your trustee, and that trustee will email their superintendent or executive superintendent to have a further conversation with you to talk about the kinds of resources that many of us think are in our schools, but just to clarify, to ensure it should not be up to parents. And I appreciate you raising this issue with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. And I'd like to share that, as I mentioned, my sons, they just turned 11 and 12, and I have twice had to go so far in their school career to a superintendent because of concerns I've had about the level of bullying and anti-Black racism that, they have experienced, and my experience of trying to be a parent advocate to support and protect my children. So I have had discussion as recent as last month with my superintendent due to an incident one of many this school year alone that had happened with my eldest son. And I will say he was quite responsive and, spoke to some things that could hopefully be done. But my concern is that it seemed that I only heard any of this when things became a crisis situation. And I quite honestly still don't know what it will look like if, there will be follow through. Because I've heard things before, and I've even brought things in myself as trying to be a resource as well, and being a part of the school council. And it was often like, thank you for this, but I never saw anything further go ahead with it. So I will definitely take your advice and hope that my words will really show that there needs to be action. Like it's great to hear things. It's great to know that there may be something, but it requires that it really does be implemented at the same time. So thank you so much for your feedback and your information on possible next steps.
Thank you. I'm sure there'll be follow-up. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Trustee King.
Thank you through the chair. And again, thank you to the delegate, Joella, for coming in and for sharing your experiences. And I'm sure that, I can say I'm very sorry to hear of what you've navigated as a parent and what your child has had to navigate. My comment was really similar to Trustee Laskin again. I just wanted to acknowledge, that we understand that the ways that we need to disrupt and address anti-Black racism relate to different areas of our service and our business. And I just want to thank Trustee Laskin again just for that suggestion, so that we do have a chance to just discuss at a deeper level some of the other areas that we can look at being proactive as it relates to budget as well. So no further question, just that comment, and thank you, Joella. Thanks to the chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Trustee DeVitis.
Just wanted to thank you for sharing some very difficult and personal things, first of all. My question's simple. If we balance the budget this year and we provide a very similar level of support this year to what you've seen in your children's schools over the last 2, 3, 4 years, Do you feel that that level of resources and funding is sufficient to meet the demand in the schools in terms of mental health and some of the other elements that you brought up?
At this point, I would say no. I would say it's a start, for sure. But just seeing the level to which my own son's experiences have been, it started as young as grade 1, them 6 years old. And as I've said, fast forward all these years later, even if it's not them directly, they have witnessed things of other students, and it seems that it doesn't know any age in particular, which tells me it's a school-wide problem, and it's just something that has continued, because when I tried to advocate in the past, when I started to notice things at those younger age, there didn't seem to be any intervention. So I feel, and from what I've seen, it just seems that now those little youngsters that were 6 years old, 7 years old, struggling with some of those antisocial behaviors, it has now escalated to more advanced type of antisocial behavior, and it's very, I don't like to use the word aggressive necessarily, but it's developed further, more sophisticated in what will be done as they've grown. So for me, it was a very clear indicator that it needs to start from a younger age. I know that, once kids hit more of the older age of youthhood, that these, talks about bullying and all of these things come about. But I believe it would require quite a robust response, which is what prompted me in my role as previous school council chair the last 2 years prior to this, to develop an initiative for our school called the Faces and Voices of Scarborough Village Public School. And the point was to focus on, our identities and celebrating that, and developing an appreciation for a welcoming environment and working from an anti-oppressive lens, and also supporting parents and students with a lot of social issues that kids face, such as bullying and anti-Black racism and struggles with anxiety and whatever else is, big blaring issues for kids as they grow. So to answer you, I think it would be a starting point, but from what I've seen in my school, it's quite bigger than just a couple of grades with the older kids. It seems that it's spread throughout the school.
Thank you for that very detailed answer, and thank you for your advocacy.
Thanks very much.
Next, we have Trustee McLean.
Thank you, and through the chair, I want to thank Ms. Knott for sharing your story today and the story of your sons. And I guess we like to think that all our students have someone, when they're going through different really challenging times, that there's someone in the building that they have confidence that they can go to and talk to when they're in trouble. Has it been your son's experience that they've had someone that they could turn to and help them, and when they're concerned for their safety and well-being, and frustrated by the challenges that they are having to endure that no one should have to endure?
I would say it's been a mixed bag. I would say this past year probably has been the most successful, if we want to say that. In terms of that, we've had a change in the school administration this past school year. Prior to that, I would say no, there was definitely no feeling of that. Even for me as a parent, trying to address the issues and work collaboratively, I would say no. More so with the principal of the school at the time. The boys' direct teachers were helpful. But I apologize, I can't give a concrete yes, because it has been quite inconsistent. And I'd say at least this year, I'll give it that it's been a bit better in terms of communication and trying to brainstorm on some things. But at the end of the day, the takeaway has very much been felt for me and my sons that in the midst of all the trauma and trying to navigate things, it still was looked at upon us of like, well, what else can we do? And me coaching my children on like trying to avoid things, even though they are the same age as all their other peers, but they have a different level of expectation for behavior to hopefully prevent anything that's, for lack of a better word, could turn into a blowout.
Thank you again for your honesty and sharing your son's experience and the reality with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you all again for allowing me to share and hearing my voice and me representing my two beautiful boys' voice as well.
Thank you. I don't see any more questions, so I want to thank you for bringing your story to us today. It's important for us to hear this.